Be bold. Be brave. Be extraordinary. Be vulnerable. Be real. Be curious. Be true. Be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Katherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Katherine McIntosh.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. I'm super excited, as always, to be here with you. If you're joining for the very first time, welcome. And if you've been joining for the second or third or 10th or 25th time, welcome. Today's episode is really talking about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and it's all about body weight and body image. And I ended up writing a book that was published and released about a year ago called Upside Down, Don't Diet, Be Happy. And, I basically sort of have been obsessed with this topic most of my life, stemming from my own insecurities and my own journey with my body. And, as somebody who is familiar with the all too familiar diet industry and the yo-yo experience that most women go on. And, women naturally yo-yo. We yo-yo because of our cycles and our hormone fluctuations that men don't necessarily have the same thing, right? We fluctuate because we get pregnant and give birth and breastfeed. And look, not every woman does that, which is totally fine. But women mostly fluctuate a lot. And for some reason, we have this idea that fluctuating is bad. And, what I've discovered in my journey is that fluctuating is actually a part of being a human, right? And I would say, whether you're a man or a woman, most people fluctuate. Now, it's not wrong to fluctuate. It's a part of the process. Where we get ourselves in trouble is that we judge the fluctuation. Especially, none of us are really have a problem if we fluctuate in a way that we like. Now, most people, right, they prefer to fluctuate in the sense of lose weight. But there are people out there, and we had a live caller a couple weeks ago in which they had fluctuated and were losing too much weight, not able to gain. So they were looking for the gaining, not the losing. But most people love to lose and hate to gain. And so they have no problems fluctuating when they're losing weight, but they definitely go into judgment and self-criticism and ridicule and rejection when they fluctuate the other way. So when they start gaining. Now, you might be the opposite, so just apply the information to your situation. All right. But one of the real reasons that most people aren't able to get to their ideal body weight and the weight where they think they would feel most comfortable is they're trying to get to that weight through means of restriction, through means of thinking it's about food and it's about diet and it's about exercise. And yes, all three of those factors, food, diet, and exercise, all contribute to an ideal body. All of them do. But here's the part that's not quite talked about is it doesn't matter what you do on the outside as an action if the inside doesn't feel lovable. Right? So if you on the inside are thinking you aren't good enough, you aren't pretty enough, you aren't skinny enough, you aren't sexy enough, you aren't young enough, then you will always fluctuate because you are basing your actions on an internal feeling, and that internal feeling perpetuates lack, ridicule, judgment, rejection, and not enough. And so, one of the most important factors in being able to get to your ideal body, right, is to make peace with where your body is at. Now, some of you might not like what I'm saying, but you have to go for the energies, the feelings, and the sensations that make you feel good. So some people go, well, I'm going to exercise because it's going to help me lose weight. Most people who struggle with their body image exercise because they feel like they have to force themselves to do something in order to get the result. But by forcing ourselves to do something, we deny ourselves the magic of feeling how it feels to do that thing. None of us like to be forced to do anything. So most of us like to resist when we're forced. And we don't like to drop in and feel the feeling of how it feels. So all of a sudden we're exercising, but it's exercising from a place of forcing ourselves to do something. Now, once in a while, you'll force yourself to do it. And over time, you'll notice that it just feels good. And now you'll no longer force yourself. And when you start doing something because it feels good to eat a healthier diet. It feels good to reduce your sugar intake. It feels good to not fluctuate 24/7 in the emotional realm. It feels good just to sit with yourself and know who you are. When you start doing things that make you feel good just for the sake because they feel good, your body will then relax. When your body relaxes, your digestive system works better. When your digestive system works better, your blood flows more freely through the body, your kidneys relax, your liver and spleen relaxes, your lungs function at its optimal, and all of a sudden your digestion begins to process food, begins to eliminate toxins, begins to release, right, through various means. And when that happens, your body begins to find its balance within its nervous system, and it's no longer living in fight or flight. It's no longer living in an adrenaline pump in a rush to get to the highest peak, meaning in a rush to get to the best or most optimal results. Results are achieved by doing lots of little things over time, long term, not so that you can get the result because it just feels good, because it creates an energy within your system. And, this weekend, I got the pleasure of basically having a retreat with 9 other women. So it's 10 women. We went on a 15-mile plus hike in the mountains. We gained, I don't know, close to 2,500 feet in elevation. It was a long hike and it was beautiful. And I got to surround myself with women who were pretty comfortable in their own skin, and they all had a story to tell about their journey and what they've been through. Some of them moms, right? Some of them pregnant, some of them single, and some of them going through the life experience of choosing not to have children or being on the verge of, do I want to make that choice? And we got to really drop into these vulnerable moments with each other. And what I took away from it, because I'm somebody who spent 20 years rejecting her body, resisting her body, hating her body, dieting, doing all of the external actions, the diet, the exercise, the forcing, the restricting, the mending, the mining, whatever. I did all of them from the place that my body wasn't good enough, from the place that I needed to lose weight, from the place that I was rejecting me in my current form. And whether these women know it or not, they provided a very profound healing space for me because I got to see the journey of 9 other women, right? 9 other beautiful, courageous, making an impact in the world, living from their heart, all having one form of insecurity about themselves or another, and all of them figuring out how to navigate life while attempting to love the skin they're in at every and any phase. And these women, none of them really have done anything majorly cosmetic unless they had to for health reasons. None of them were, getting facelifts and Botox and, all that stuff. And almost all of them were learning to love who they are at every and any stage of their life phase. And it was a really healing moment because I got to see what it's like when you learn to love your body at any and every phase. And it made me dive into my own journey even deeper and realize, and I'm sharing this for the first time really publicly, is realize that I've had this warped sense of what a beautiful body is supposed to look like. And all these women were incredibly beautiful. And many of them wearing tiny sizes, many of them extremely fit, many of them just like really beautiful. And I went, wow, I have had a warped sense of what I thought a beautiful body was supposed to look like. And I'm like, this is really, it was an eye opening moment for me because it made me realize no wonder why I haven't been able to achieve what I thought was my ideal body. No wonder why I spent 20 years ridiculing my body and hiding it and shaming it. And you guys, I've ridiculed and hidden my body when I was 96 pounds. And I've hidden and ridiculed my body when I was 160 pounds. And when I was pregnant with my son, I think I got up to somewhere between 175 and 180. I don't know. I'm really bad at I don't use a scale and haven't used a scale for a really long time. And it's one of the things that I do that keeps my energy expanded. When I think of my body, getting on a scale contracts my energy. Why? Because it immediately puts me into judging my body. And so this is for anyone. And I know I've talked about this topic a lot in a lot of different ways in a lot of different episodes on this show, but I believe that it's a important topic to discuss because there are too many women out there who maybe like me might be misidentifying what their ideal body is supposed to look like, right? Is misidentifying, right? Because now we have Photoshop and social media and filters, and we take a little inch off here and a little inch off here, and maybe do a tuck and a nip and a lift here. And so then we are faced with these social media images and, advertising images and mainstream media images that honestly are not realistic. And so then we go seeking for an ideal that doesn't exist, and we separate ourselves from the idea that we can have an ideal. And all of that sets you up for contraction, sets you up for disappointment, sets you up for lack. And why I'm so passionate about this topic is because when you're functioning in those lack like mental states and those points of views, what you're actually doing is cutting off your ability to be aware. So here I am on this 15-mile hike, and the land was talking to me, and the earth spirits were talking to me, and my business was talking to me, and my body was talking to me, and I was able to hear it very loud and clear because I had come with the intention, no judgment. I'd come with the intention of being present with myself and my awareness. I'd come with the intention of, even if my body didn't look as fit as some of these other bodies, my body was perfect and fine just the way it was. And so I decided to wear a hot pink one like outfit, and everyone's like, yeah, Yeah. And I was like, I haven't worn this for a year. And I refused to wear it for a year because I had decided that my body wasn't fit enough to fit into this revealing hot pink, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, it's the Barbie movie." I was like, "No, I bought this thing long before the Barbie movie. Maybe it was in the making, but we didn't know it was coming out." Right? I just love the color pink. It's one of my favorite colors, especially hot pink, and I wear that color as much as possible, right? And so here I was in my hot pink outfit, connected to nature in a really different way and connected to my intuition and my awareness. And so as women, we are basically entrained to fit into a mold that just by its nature of fitting in has us cutting off our intuition, our awareness, our feeling, our water, our sort of flow in the moment. And it can be one of the most harmful things that we as women do. And so when we're menstruating and our hormones are at its peak, or when we're going through perimenopause or menopause and our emotions are at their peak, right? We tend to go into scatter. We tend to go into the emotional world, but not necessarily in a healthy way. And what happens when we're doing that, and why we end up in these sort of unhealthy emotional states and feeling very scattered and chaotic, is because we haven't allowed ourselves to understand what's happening at a physical, energetic, and an emotional level. Is we've just tapped in to, like, let's just say 10,000 more units of awareness at once. And if you drop 10,000 units of water onto like solid ground, it starts flooding, right? So we get flooded and we don't know what to do with that information. But if you open the container and you pour 10,000 units of water from a hose into a container that can hold 10,000 units of water, guess what? Now you've got this water contained. And when we as women can have that expanded state, can understand what's happening, we're preparing for our intuition, all of the sudden we can go, wow, I have this container called my awareness, and I'm opening up, or this container called my body that houses my awareness, and I'm going to open up my body to receive 10,000 more units of awareness. And now all of a sudden, we're empowered. We're in our intuitive phase. We're in the listening phase. We're in the we don't need to fix anything phase. We're also in the I don't need to go out of my way to understand anything phase. Let me just sit in this energy. And it can be a really powerful place to sit into that energy. And when you do, you're not thinking about the size of your thighs or the shape of your boobs or the weight on the scale. You're thinking about how you can connect and engage in the world in a different way, and how you can open up and make an impact and connect with others and make a difference. And so these 9 women, me was 10, we like beautiful, amazing, powerful women making an impact in the world in a really like big way. And I was like, I feel really honored to be with all of them. And I could tell they're like, who is this woman? Crazy woman that's been, on this crazy journey called life. And so there was no competition, there was no cutting down, there was no talking behind each other's backs. There was just this engagement and support. And, it was really nurturing and really healing. and everybody's body got happier in the process. We engaged more, we connected more. And so my obsession with body image, body weight, being on this, lifelong journey of thinking you need to lose 5 or 10 or 15 pounds, like, I'm all for taking care of your health and getting healthier. I'm all for losing weight if you feel like it is going to make an impact on your health journey. I'm all for wanting to do it in the quest to be the best version of yourself so that not you can go, look at me, I lost 5 pounds. But if you truly are on that journey, you can go, wow, I'm more connected to my body in a way that I've never been connected to my body before. And now I'm connected to my awareness. Now I'm connected to my intuition. Now I'm connected to a greater sense of communication and possibility in the world. And that is what lights me up. And so when we're connected, it gives our nervous system a chance to regulate. When we are constantly looking to lose weight for external validation, it keeps our nervous system in a dysregulated state. And so no amount of action, right, will truly be long-term impactful until we find a way to regulate the nervous system. So how do you do that? Well, you can do it through breath work. You can do it through, like I did, getting out in the woods in nature, going on a 15-mile hike with 10 women, intentionally doing prayer, intentionally talking to the land, drinking tea with these women, having really meaningful, impactful conversations, feeling safe. So surrounding yourself in an environment where you feel really safe, surrounding yourself in an environment where you make a commitment to actively stop judging and rejecting yourself, right? Finding ways to do somatic exercises or meditation where you can connect in and heal your nervous system and reduce the cortisol levels, the high stress hormone in your body. And all of those ways, getting out in nature, going on walks, journaling, having engaging conversation, maybe having somebody, just put their hands on your body in a really meaningful way. For example, I used to be a hairdresser. It's how I got involved in being an intuitive consultant, is I realized that as a hairdresser, I was able to have really, really meaningful conversations with people. And guess what? People tell their hairdresser everything. Why? Because they don't feel like they're being judged. When I was a therapist, right, I went to grad school for somatic psychology. People told me way less intimate details. They were way less unedited in the therapy practice than when they were in the hairdressing chair. In the hairdressing chair, they're unedited. Why? Because they don't think you have a psychology degree, right? They don't think you're psychologically analyzing them. You're just having engaging conversation. And for me as a hairdresser, I was a healing hands hairdresser. I was just really intentional on wanting to create a healing space for my clients. Well, guess what? When they felt safe, I wasn't therapizing them. I wasn't trying to give them medication. I wasn't trying to give them a diagnosis. I was just being a safe place for them to speak and to share whatever was going on. And in the process, things healed. In the process, I was able to get in their crown and give them a healing head massage. I was able to give them, advice from a non-therapy perspective, right? And, this weekend I got to do like tiny little haircuts and trims for a couple of the women. And one of the women was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And so we underestimate the power of going after actions and feelings and sensations and thoughts that make us feel better. We wait. Well, when I lose the weight, then I'll go on a date. When I lose the weight, then I'll have the confidence. Oh, when I lose the weight. And I know that we're all really good at losing weight. We've all been able to lose weight. We just not all have been able to, one, keep the weight off, maintain the weight, maintain that sense of balance. And when I say that, we'll still fluctuate, but you're at peace with the fluctuation because you know your body is going through something. Our bodies fluctuate, my friends. And when we don't go in the wrongness, we don't force a result, true, true, true healing can happen. And when true healing happens, you're attuned to your awareness. And when you're attuned to your awareness, your nervous system regulates. And when your nervous system regulates, you have more ideas. You're in the flow. You take more risks. You're willing to let go of your preconceived insecurities. And, we all have stories. And the more we cling to the stories of the past, the more we stunt our ability to grow and evolve. And so, if you truly want to grow and evolve and create a body that you love, create a business that you love, create a life that you love, you're going to have to start to be really honest with yourself, be vulnerable with yourself, and start looking at what are the stories that you tell yourself every day that are actually keeping you from transformation. So after the break, we're going to share something that you can do to begin to awaken in you, right? To release out of you and become aware of the stories that you've been holding on to that are preventing the change you say you want. So if you want change, if you say you want to lose weight, but you're not actually doing anything internally, right? We all are good at trying the external, but until you shift the internal, you won't have long lasting external results. So, we're going to talk about that and some specific things that you can do when we get back from the break. So, stay tuned.
OMTimes TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Katherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to KatherineMcIntosh.com. KatherineMcIntosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas.
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, my magical friends, we're back from the break, and we're going to talk about some actions that you can take to begin to transform the stories of your past, the reasons why you may not have been able to change your body long term, right? We're talking about long-term change, not just short-term change. We're talking about less yo-yoing, both in body and mind. We're talking about less ups and downs and emotional roller coasters. And, we as women, we go through them. It's a part of the process. And what I've discovered in the last several years is I open up the doorway and go on this path to loving myself even deeper, appreciating myself more than I ever have, and finding this like true sense of self love. My emotional roller coasters are far less invasive. My sort of just like stability in my life is a lot more even keeled. And so before we dive into some actions that you can take to begin to not just reveal the stories that you might be hanging on to that are preventing you from change, but also some actions that you can take in order to wake yourself back up, or start or open the door to the journey of sort of pacifying your nervous system, regulating it, and also just finding peace within so that you can have long lasting change, both in your body and in your business and in your spirit and in your mind, right? Let's talk about the psychological aspect of it first. And so this is something that happens to me a lot as an intuitive consultant, and as I meet people from different walks of life around the world. There has never been one time ever in my 20 years of doing intuitive consulting and energy work where someone comes to me with the problem they have. So the symptom, right? The problem is usually the symptom. With the symptom they have, not one time has the healing process matched the symptom, right? So, what I mean by that, if you are diagnosed with a symptom and the doctor says, oh, you have an autoimmune disease, this is the path to healing that autoimmune disease. And you go on a path to heal your autoimmune disease based on the diagnosis or the remedy or the formula or the prescription that you're given, and you try it, everything, and it does not work. It means that the symptom is never the path to healing. The symptom is simply the doorway to what's underneath that needs to be healed. And so, I was talking to someone over the weekend. They said, "Oh, well, this is why, right? Like, this is why I might have this." And I have this all the time. People come in and they say, "I have this headache because I drank wine last night," or "I have this headache because I had too much sugar," or I'm constipated because I didn't drink enough water," or was born constipated because my parents were constipated, or I have leaky, gut syndrome because my parents had leaky gut syndrome. And, what I find in those situations is it might be true that they have leaky gut. It might be true that their parents have leaky gut. And it might be true that it is in their family lineage. But what heals it is usually something that nobody's expecting. What heals it is the psychological story that we may or may not know is in our nervous system, right? And, there hasn't been one experience where I went, oh, let me heal this symptom with the traditional route. Almost always what creates a transformation in somebody's world, and especially what creates a transformation when it comes to body and body insecurities and body weight and body shame and body all of it, what usually creates the biggest shift is when I sort of am able to begin to crack open. Now it's a co-creative experience, right? I'm just a conduit for information, and I'm a conduit for, because the body has an ability to heal itself. And all I'm doing is going in and opening up the doorways and the pathways for the body to heal itself, right? And so what I know is if I can open up and go, hey, no, actually, your weight problem is, yes, your thyroid is off, but your thyroid is off not because of age or life circumstances or your divorce or stress. Your thyroid is off because you've been engaging in practicing a story that you're not enough, or you've been engaging and practicing a story that, might not be true. And so it's when we get to the truth of what's underneath the symptom. And I know I've talked about this in a lot of episodes, and I know I might be repeating myself, but sometimes we need to hear this information over and over again until we wake up and go, whoa, oh, I get it now, right? It's one thing to cognitively get something. It's a totally different beast when you get it from the neck down, right? Or the head down. But when you get it embodied, right, then that aha moment can create a rapid transformation. So that's the psychological component. So what do we do to fix if we are in a place, and if you are in a place where you're not liking your body, maybe you've tried, 8 diets this year. Maybe you've tried 20 diets this year. Maybe every day you wake up saying, I need to lose 5 pounds. Maybe every day you wake up and you look in the mirror and you wish you looked different. I'm talking to you if that is what's happening for you currently, and any other myriad of sort of symptoms and diagnoses. And so one of the first things to do is to wake up to the stories that you've been telling yourself. And so some of you might be telling yourself a story of you're big boned, right? Some of you might be telling yourself a story of you're not fit, you're not athletic. Some of you might be telling the story of you don't eat meat, or you're, you know, um, wheat sensitive. Now, that might be true. You might have a diagnosis of being a celiac. You might have a diagnosis of being gluten intolerant. You might have a diagnosis of being lactose intolerant. But back in caveman days, those sorts of symptoms didn't exist, at least that we know of. But now in modern society, those diagnoses exist. And yes, they exist because our food nutritional, like, uh, substance, the nutritional value in almost all of our foods has diminished significantly, right? Our soils are different. Our pesticides are different. Our gardening and growing techniques are different. The air quality and pollution is different, right? And so as these things change, like, we have to be more aware. But the truth is that most of what's keeping us from this transformation is the story that we keep telling ourselves. And most of you, the story you keep telling yourself is one that has its foundational basis in I am not enough. Right? I am not enough. And when you're not enough, guess what? Digestion suffers. A whole myriad of things, right? Digestion suffers, metabolism suffers, thyroid suffers, maybe even your eyesight suffers. Your cortisol levels start to increase because all of a sudden it's prone to, if you're not good enough, you're looking at surviving. And if you're looking at surviving, you're looking outside of yourself all the time, right? Wow. And so, what do we do to unearth and uncover the stories that we might be functioning from? The first thing that you want to do if you're functioning from a story that isn't actually working for you, but you don't even know that you're functioning from it, is you want to make a list of what's in your head. And the way that I do that is I'll close my eyes for a few moments. I'll take some big deep breaths, which starts with an inhale through the nose and an exhale out through the mouth. And an inhale in through the nose and an exhale out through the mouth. And you just keep going. An inhale in through the nose and an exhale out through the mouth. And you just keep going, right? And you center yourself. You find that level of balance. You find that sort of calmness within you. And when that calmness is there, then you can ask, right? What are some of the stories you've been telling yourself? And then just flow, stream of consciousness, journal for 5 minutes without stopping, right? And see what shows up for you. And when you do, you might notice you have, wow, I'm not good enough. Wow, I'm not good enough. Wow, I'm not good enough. Wow, I'm too old. Wow, no, I lost my body shape. I'll never be good enough. Like on and on and on. And you start to journal and identify. For some of you, you might be able to record it into your iPhone and use the voice memo feature in your Android or iPhone and voice memo it, right? And you start to go, oh my gosh, I have this point of view of I'll never be good enough. I'm big boned. I have a slow metabolism. My parents won't let me eat sugar. So I inhaled sugar from 2 years old on. And all of a sudden I start telling myself the stories I keep telling myself. And then I look at them, right? And you just observe them. Observing them is enough to change them, right? And once you've journaled, right, you're going to begin to do things that help heal the nervous system. So one of the biggest things I know to do to heal the nervous system is to close your eyes, one hand on the occiput, one hand on your lower sacrum, sort of tailbone area, sort of above the butt crack, and you just close your eyes and you can breathe in between those two spaces in your head. And you just take a few deep breaths. There you go. And in that process, you begin to regulate the nervous system. You can look up on Google, right? Somatic exercises to heal the nervous system, right? Going on walks is a great way to heal the nervous system. Going on walks and telling the universe what you're grateful for, great way to heal the nervous system. Right. And so there's little ways that you can begin to activate. But one of the biggest ones on an overall umbrella theme is to be grateful for what you have now, grateful for who's in your life now, grateful for where your body is now. And no amount of dieting or exercise is going to get you to the place of loving yourself. And the only reason I know that is because at 96 pounds, I woke up in a hospital bed with machines and IVs hooked up to me. And the first thought out of my mouth at 96 pounds was, I'm not enough. It didn't work. And so, my friends, it doesn't matter what you do on the outside. If you do not love yourself on the inside, it will not transform you long term. It might transform you short term. But here's the deal is you're giving up on your awareness when you do that. You're giving up on the magic that's possible. So I want you to grab a journal. I want you to journal out all the feelings, all the thoughts, all the emotions that you have about not being good enough as you are right now, especially when it comes to your body. And then you're just going to let it out, right? I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk the other day on a really quick video, and there was a man who grew up extremely poor, and he had gone on to make $100 million. And he said, Gary, I have $100 million. I have a beautiful wife. I have amazing children. I have a successful business. I can go anywhere in the world I want to go. I can meet almost any person I want to meet. I could drive any car I want to drive. He goes, but I still wake up every morning feeling like I'm that little boy trapped in this little home, right? And we don't have enough money. And my mother offers, right, to that. And we don't have enough money, but I still wake up broke every day. And Gary said, you know what? It's never going to work, right? No amount of success, another $100 million isn't going to change the story you have that you're this little boy without enough money, right? Not enough food, not enough shelter, not enough places to feel safe in your life. No amount of money or success is going to fix that. He goes, whatever you do, take it to your therapist, take it to your journal, take it to an energy worker, take it to a massage therapist, and get the poison out. And so, my friends, what is preventing you from changing long term is getting the poison out, right? Once you get the poison out, then you work on regulating your nervous system. You can do it through dance. You can do it through meditation. You can do it through intentional walking. You can also, do it in a lot of other forms. Do it however you want to do it. Intentional, moment by moment. And you know what? Long term, you will have your shift. And so, for anyone out there listening, right, thank you for being a part of the show today. Thank you for listening. But I want to offer you that perhaps the stories you've been telling yourselves are the poison that keep you from the change you want. The stories that you've been telling yourselves are not actually true, but you make them true and you keep energizing them. And you can't have a different future if you're telling the same story of your past, no matter what it is you're trying to change, right? Relationships, body, business, money, you name it. All right. And so I want to thank each and every single one of you for being here, because it's the stories underneath. That's where the magic lies. So thank you for tuning in every week. If you're in here, yeah, so true. And so true, right? And it doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever gender you identify yourself as, we all struggle with insecurities, right? From top A-listers to, the world's wealthiest, to people who might be just struggling to survive right now, right? That doesn't matter what story you tell yourself, right? Doesn't matter. What you tell yourself is what's preventing you from having that long-lasting change, from tapping into your intuition, from living your best life. And so a lot of people are telling themselves a story, especially when it comes to their body weight, their image, and their self-esteem, that they can't do it, right? Some of them are telling themselves, I can't make the money. I can't be successful. I can't stop my addiction. And, as long as you tell yourself that story, then you're right. But if you make room for perhaps a 1%, 2%, 3% shift in your consciousness, start telling yourself a different story, you'll have a different future. And I'm just going to use this as an example. So a year ago, right, this plant, right, for those of you that can see me on the video, on Zoom or on wherever you are tuning into the video broadcast of this radio station, I have this orchid in front of me and it's in full bloom, and there's still some that are about to open. This plant a year ago only was just a stem because the leaves had run its course, the petals had fallen off, and I was contemplating whether or not to throw the plant away. It's like, oh, well, it didn't have its leaves, didn't have its bloom. It wasn't showing its most beautiful parts, and I considered throwing it away. I had almost every other orchid plant I've ever owned. I get them. I love them for the several months or 6 months that they're, in bloom, and then I get rid of them. And this one in particular, I was like, what if I don't get rid of it? What if I hang on to it? What if I see what it's going to create? So I let it bloom. And for a year, I watered it without seeing any difference. I moved it to a different location in my home so it would get more sunlight. I watered it once a week. I didn't overwater it. I said hi to it. I nurtured it. I cared for it. I was curious about it, but I wasn't in a rush for the results because I didn't even know if they would happen. And that's kind of like life in our bodies, is we can get aware of something that we're capable of becoming. But if we don't nurture and water and tend to without needing to see the result, we can't force a result. I couldn't force these flowers to bloom when I wanted them to. I had to be an allowance of when they were going to bloom. Right? And so for all of you out there, don't be in a rush to get the results. Be in a rush to go through the process, to let go of the old story, to begin to create a new story, to identify with a new possibility, and be in a rush to go after the things that make you feel good. So moving your body might feel good. Eating healthy foods might feel good. Having engaging conversations might feel good. Taking a risk and doing something that makes you uncomfortable might feel good. Do something different so that you can start feeling different. Start energizing what feels different, and your life will look different quicker than you could ever imagine. And you'll stop that crazy, insecure yo-yo cycle that we go through when we're not intentional with going after things that make us feel good, not temporarily, right? But long term. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If this show sparked something in you, if you got something out of it, please feel free to send us a message. Share this link anywhere that you see it on any social media platform. Send it out to your list, whatever you want. The more you share this message, the more that we can wake the planet up to living in their bodies in a different way, to creating a different planet, and to hopefully having a different future. Because Lord knows it takes a village, but all it takes is one person to commit to wanting to live and be different, and they make an impact around everyone around them. And the more of us there are that show up to being invested in a different future, the quicker we can create that different future. So tend to your flowers, tend to your plant that doesn't yet have the flowers. Be grateful for what's showing up and continue to go after what makes you feel good. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Katherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.